Real strength doesn't shout, it doesn't force, it radiates from presence, from clarity, from inner command. If you want to think sharper, move with clarity and become truly dangerous. Not through aggression, but through awareness. You have to stop chasing the external and start studying the internal. Most people spend their whole lives reacting to pressure, to people, to fear. They move fast, speak faster, and think the least. But beneath all that noise, there's something they've never touched: stillness. Not laziness, not doing nothing, but deep, focused, powerful stillness. The kind that clears your mind, sharpens your judgment, and changes how you walk through the world. The truth is, you don't need more motivation. You don't need more information. You need discipline, mental discipline, and not the kind that comes from forcing yourself to grind, but the kind that comes from self-mastery. Because real strength isn't about controlling everything around you, it's about mastering what's happening within you. If you appreciate what's happening here, a simple, free way to support it is to subscribe to our channel. That helps keep the content alive and flowing. Let's begin. Step 1. Stillness before strategy. We live in a world that celebrates speed. Move fast, speak up, stay ahead. That's the message drilled into us from an early age. If you pause, you fall behind. If you wait, you lose. So we race through our days, filling every gap with tasks, noise, and constant activity. But here's the twist. What if the power you're chasing doesn't come from moving faster, but from learning to be still? Because silence isn't weakness. Stillness isn't laziness. In fact, some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the quietest in the room, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've trained themselves not to say the first thing that comes to mind. They've practiced the pause, and in that pause, they've found something most people never touch: control. The Stoics had a word for this kind of strength: apatheia. Not apathy, not indifference, but freedom from being ruled by emotion. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most composed minds, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's not about reacting to life as it comes. It's about choosing your response after the storm inside you settles. And make no mistake, there is a storm. It's the mental clutter, the racing thoughts, the constant urge to act without thinking. You've probably felt it, those moments where stress takes over, where your mouth moves before your mind catches up, where decisions come from pressure, not purpose. That's what happens when we never stop to check in with ourselves. Psychologist Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And that's really the point here. Stillness is a doorway, not a destination. When you learn to stop, even briefly, you stop being dragged by your reactions and start walking with direction. But let's be clear, this isn't about escaping life. You don't need to move to a forest or meditate for hours on a mountain. You don't have to delete every distraction or live in silence. This is about 5 minutes. Just 5. Sit down, close your eyes, breathe. That's it. No music, no scrolling. Just you and the part of your mind that rarely gets a chance to speak. The quiet part, the wise part. That simple act changes everything. Your nervous system calms. Your thoughts stop rushing like a river after rain. You begin to observe instead of react. And when the observation kicks in, so does clarity. You start noticing what's actually important and what's just noise wearing urgency as a disguise. Think about the people who lead with real presence, the ones who speak with calm authority, who don't get flustered, who seem to know exactly when to act and when to hold still. That's not talent. That's not luck. That's training. They've built the habit of silence before action, the mental discipline to pause. And that pause, it's where wisdom lives. As the philosopher Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That means being okay with silence, even if it makes others uncomfortable. It means not rushing to fill every quiet moment with noise just to prove you're engaged or important. Try this today. 5 minutes of stillness. Let whatever thoughts come, come. Let whatever emotions rise, rise. Don't fight them. Don't analyze them. Just observe. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing nothing on purpose. And in that choice, you begin to understand something deeper, that your mind doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. The fastest decisions aren't always the wisest. The loudest voice isn't always the strongest. The world will keep spinning whether you rush or not. But when you choose stillness, even for a moment, you stop being pushed around by everything and start becoming the one who decides when and how to move. That's not just peace, that's strategy, that's Stoic. Step 2. Respond, don't react. Ever walked into a conversation, said something without thinking, and then spent the rest of the day or even longer replaying it in your head, wondering why you snapped, why you blurted it out, why you didn't pause, breathe, and handle it differently? That moment where your mouth moved before your mind caught up, that's not instinct, that's conditioning. It's a loop your brain learned long ago and has been playing on repeat ever since. And for most people, that loop is running constantly in the background. No pause, no filter, just reaction after reaction. It's what we call autopilot. You wake up, check your phone, see a message that annoys you. Then you check the news, feel stressed. Then someone cuts you off in traffic and you react again, one after another, without space, without thought, without awareness. It's fast, it's automatic, and it feels normal. But normal doesn't mean helpful. We confuse speed with clarity, but speed without reflection, that's just chaos with better branding. The Stoics knew this centuries before we had phones or inboxes or algorithms pulling at our attention. They knew the real danger wasn't the world outside. It was the storm inside. Seneca said, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." That means we're not just reacting to reality. We're reacting to imaginary scenarios, imagined judgments, anticipated threats. We're jumping into emotional responses to things that haven't even happened or never will. And what's the way out of that cycle? It's not shutting yourself off from the world. It's not becoming emotionless or cold. It's awareness, pure and simple. And it's something you build, not by escaping life, but by stepping fully into it with your eyes open. Awareness means noticing the story you're telling yourself before it becomes your truth. It's catching the tension in your chest before it becomes an argument. It's feeling the heat rise in your face and deciding, not this time. I'm not reacting to that. Think of your mind like a lake. Most people's minds are constantly disturbed, rippled by every minor annoyance, every comment, every glance, every news update. The surface never settles, and when it's murky, you can't see anything clearly. But when you stop stirring it with constant reaction, the water begins to still. And in that stillness, you begin to see, not just what's around you, but what's been running inside you all along. Carl Jung said it perfectly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That quote hits deep because most people don't realize they're being pulled by hidden beliefs, by emotional patterns they never chose, by scripts handed to them by the past. Awareness pulls all of that into the light. It doesn't erase the emotion, but it gives you a choice, a gap. And in that gap is freedom. This is where mental discipline begins, not in suppressing what you feel, but in slowing down what you do with what you feel. It's not weakness to pause. It's not hesitation to wait. It's strength, quiet strength. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything because it already knows who's in charge. Try it the next time you're triggered, when someone challenges you, mocks you, criticizes you, or just catches you on a bad day. Pause. Count to 3. Don't rush to fill the silence. Let your emotion rise, sure, but don't ride it blindly. Watch it, study it. Let your awareness catch up to your reaction. That pause rewires everything. It tells your brain, we're not doing this the old way anymore. And each time you respond instead of react, you reinforce a new path, a path of presence, a path of control, a path that belongs to you, not to your habits, not to your triggers, and definitely not to the people trying to throw you off course. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And that one sentence sums up an entire way of life. Because the truth is, you can't always control what comes at you, but you can always choose how you meet it. In a world that tries to push your buttons at every turn, choosing how you respond is a quiet form of power. One that can't be taken, only given. So don't give it away so easily. Own your pause, train your awareness, and lead your life. Don't just react to it. That's not hesitation. That's mastery. Stoic, steady, earned mastery. Step 3. Observation is a skill, not a trait. Some people walk into a room and sense everything without a word being said. The moment they step in, they know if something's off. They can read it in the air, the slight shift in someone's posture, the forced laugh, the way eyes avoid contact. They don't need explanations or analysis. They simply know. It's not magic. It's not instinct. It's awareness. And it's one of the sharpest tools a human being can develop, but also one of the most overlooked. Because in a world obsessed with speaking louder, acting faster, and constantly doing, we rarely get taught how to observe. Real observation is more than just seeing. It's noticing. It's being tuned in. Most people aren't. They live in reaction mode, always responding to the next notification, the next demand, the next emotion. They see what's on the surface and assume that's the whole story. But awareness, that digs deeper. It asks you to slow down, strip away distraction, and see what's actually there. In Stoic practice, this kind of perception, both of the world and of the self, is everything. The Stoics believed that clarity came before action, that you should never move unless you understand what you're responding to. Epictetus said it best. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Think about that. It's not usually the thing itself that causes us stress. It's our interpretation of it, the mental narrative, the assumption, the fear. That's where awareness becomes powerful, because it doesn't fix the world, but it fixes your lens. But don't get it twisted. Awareness isn't passive. It's not sitting in a corner being zen while the world rushes by. It's a deliberate practice. It's active. It listens deeply, watches carefully, notices constantly. It's like tuning into a signal that most people can't hear because they're too busy blasting their own. And when you tap into that signal, everything slows down. You see the micro delays in someone's answer. You feel the energy shift in a room. You notice when you start to close up, get defensive, or lose energy. These aren't minor details, they're data. And once you have that data, you have an edge. Observation starts with others, yes, but the most profound work happens when you turn that focus inward. You start asking questions like, why do I feel drained after that conversation? Why did I tense up when that person walked in? Why do I always get irritable around the same time every afternoon? These aren't random experiences. These are signals from your nervous system, and they form patterns. and patterns once identified can be broken or strengthened. That's how you regain control. Carl Jung captured this with a single line: "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Most people walk through life thinking things just happen to them. But it's often their blind spots, their unexamined habits, their default settings that are shaping their reality, and they don't even know it. But once you see a pattern, really see it, you can't unsee it. It becomes part of your awareness, and that awareness starts to shift how you move. But there's a trap. Many people confuse observation with judgment. They start noticing things and then immediately label them: good, bad, weak, strong. But real awareness isn't rushed. It doesn't rush to conclusions. It waits. It watches. It holds the tension of not knowing, of uncertainty, of complexity, until the picture becomes clear. That's what gives it power. It's not a reaction, it's a posture. And this doesn't require hours of meditation or a total lifestyle change. Start small. One day. Speak less. Observe more. Don't rush to respond. Don't interrupt discomfort with distractions. Watch your body. Notice how people respond to your energy. Listen, not just with your ears, but with your attention. How does the room feel when someone enters? How does your mood shift throughout the day? These tiny observations, repeated daily, build into something most people never develop: presence. Presence isn't just about confidence, it's about clarity. People who are truly present see more, feel more, understand more. They aren't lost in assumptions, they're tuned in. And the more you train this, the more powerful your perception becomes. Most people miss what matters. They miss the subtle warning signs in relationships. They miss the physical signs of stress in their body. They miss the chance to adjust before they crash. But not you, not if you train for it. Because when you start observing more than you react, you begin to understand the game before it's played. You begin to feel truth before it's spoken. That's not overthinking, that's mastery. And that mastery, built slowly through consistent awareness, is the foundation of real wisdom. The Stoics weren't just thinkers, they were watchers, quiet, steady, unshaken, not because the world didn't challenge them, but because they'd trained themselves to see clearly before acting. So today, start with this: less speaking, more watching. Don't just look, see. Don't just hear, listen. Awareness is your edge. Sharpen it daily. Step 4. The breath is your anchor. There's a reason athletes, soldiers, and monks all train their breath. It's not just about oxygen, it's about control. Quiet, internal control. The kind you carry inside you when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. When the situation is loud, intense, unpredictable, your breath stays with you. Always available, always accessible. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't depend on mood or motivation. All it needs is your attention. But here's the strange part. We're raised to monitor everything except the breath. We're taught how to walk, how to talk, how to behave, how to dress, how to shape our personalities. But breathing? That's treated like background noise. Something your body just does. And yes, it does happen automatically, but that's exactly why it holds so much untapped power. See, your breath is one of the rare things in life that's both involuntary and voluntary. You breathe without thinking, yes. But you can also choose to slow it, deepen it, shape it. That's what makes it a bridge, a connector between your conscious and unconscious, between your thinking mind and your feeling body, between the chaos outside and the calm inside. It's not just a survival mechanism, it's a tool, a compass, a steering wheel. In Stoic philosophy, mastery over the self was the highest pursuit, not because it looks good on paper, but because in a world full of noise, unpredictability and pain, it's the only real freedom. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." But let's be honest, you can't reach that kind of peace when your breath is trapped in your chest, shallow and tight. You can't be mentally steady when your body is stuck in fight or flight. A restless breath is a restless soul. It's a mirror. Think about the last time things spiraled. You were overwhelmed, anxious, angry. Maybe you snapped in a conversation. Maybe your mind went blank under pressure. Go back to that moment. What was your breath doing? Chances are it had disappeared. Short, fast, almost invisible. That's not weakness. That's your nervous system doing its job. But here's the insight most people miss. If your body can lead your mind into chaos, your body can also lead your mind out of it. That's the power of breath. It works both ways. And this isn't just philosophy, it's biology. When you slow your breath, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the part of your body that handles rest, digestion, healing, and mental clarity. A longer exhale sends a message to the brain. We're okay, we're not in danger. And the brain listens. It stops dumping cortisol into your bloodstream. Your heart rate slows, muscles relax, your focus sharpens. You become steady, not because the situation changed, but because you changed. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And while he spoke about deep psychological transformation, this principle starts small, with breath. You don't have to wait for a life crisis to begin. Every time you consciously breathe, you're doing something most people avoid. You're facing your state, you're feeling your body, you're choosing presence over panic. And in that simple act, you start reclaiming authority over your own system. Let's not overcomplicate this. 1 minute. That's all. Breathe in for 4 counts, out for 6. No apps, no fancy techniques, just awareness. When you feel overwhelmed, when your thoughts race, when your shoulders tense up, that's the signal. Come back to the breath, not with force but with intention. Let it slow you down. Let it clear space. Let it anchor you. Because this isn't about pretending stress doesn't exist. It's about meeting it with better tools. And breath? It's the first tool, the foundation, the reset switch most people never reach for. But once you train it, truly train it, it becomes something far more powerful than a coping mechanism. It becomes your baseline, your calm, your shield in the storm. The Stoics didn't break down breath in terms of neuroscience, but they didn't need to. They practiced what we're just beginning to understand, that you can't lead your mind if your body is under siege. And the breath, that quiet rhythm you've been ignoring, is how you take back the lead. That's not just wellness, that's wisdom. Step 5. Letting go isn't weakness, it's precision. There's a voice inside your head, constant, busy, familiar. It's there when you wake up, when you try to sleep, when you're walking down the street or sitting in silence. It comments on everything, what you should have done differently, what could go wrong next, what that person really meant when they said what they said. It overanalyzes your past and tries to predict your future. It doubts, it criticizes, it whispers worst-case scenarios like it's trying to help. And the wild part, most people never stop to question it. They assume that voice is them. But here's the truth. Just because a thought appears in your mind doesn't mean it's true. And it definitely doesn't mean it belongs to you. That voice can be a mix of old stories, inherited fears, societal programming, emotional echoes. Some of it comes from childhood, some from the culture we grew up in. Some are just loops. We heard them so often, from so many places, that our brains stored them on repeat. You didn't create them, you just absorbed them. Carl Jung captured this perfectly when he said, "People don't have ideas, ideas have people." That's what makes unexamined thoughts so dangerous. They can drive your choices, shape your identity, control your emotions, and you won't even realize you've been hijacked. You'll follow the script in your head and call it reality. But in truth, you're just reacting to noise. This is where Stoicism becomes practical, not just philosophical. The Stoics didn't try to kill their thoughts or pretend to be emotionless robots. What they did was pause, examine, observe without attachment. They understood that a thought is only as powerful as the belief you give it. That's why Epictetus taught that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. You may not be able to stop your first thought, especially if it's automatic, emotional, or wired from past pain. But you can control what happens after it. That's the gap, the sacred space between stimulus and response. And that space is where your real power begins. Picture yourself in a thunderstorm. If you're standing right in the middle of it, you're soaked, disoriented, maybe even panicking. But step back a few feet, watch it from a window, or better yet from a calm hill in the distance, and it becomes something else entirely. It's not you anymore, it's just weather. It'll pass. And that's what happens when you stop identifying with every single thought. You move from being inside the storm to being the one who's watching it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. But the modern mind forgets this. It thinks every emotion must be acted on, every thought must be believed, every judgment must be true. But that's how people lose themselves. They follow every mental impulse and call it being real. But what's real is this: you are not the thought, you are the one witnessing it. So the next time your mind says, "I'm not ready," or "I can't handle this," or "what if it all goes wrong," don't push back, don't panic. Just ask a simple question: is this fear or is this fact? That single pause can break a loop that's been running for years. And in that moment, your higher self, the part that's calm, aware, and stable, can step forward. Not every thought deserves your full attention. Not every mental reaction is a command. Most of them are just background noise. Seneca put it simply: we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And once you see that clearly, you stop living in defense mode. You stop jumping at shadows. You stop letting unverified thoughts decide who you are. This doesn't mean you ignore your mind. It means you guide it. You stay awake. You watch with quiet authority. Like a parent watching a child throw a tantrum, you remain steady. You don't yell, you don't panic, you don't run. You just see it for what it is, and you choose your response from a place of power. That's the beauty of detachment. It's not coldness, it's presence. It's choosing not to become every thought that passes through you. And the more you practice that, the more peaceful your inner world becomes, even when the outer world is anything but. Stillness sharpens you, awareness protects you, discipline frees you. In a world that pulls you in every direction, your greatest power will always be your ability to return to yourself, calm, present, unshaken. If you're ready to go deeper, one of the videos on your screen will meet you there.